Greetings, all. Reflecting on agency services and the social work roles that you would and would not be interested in. What an interesting conversation. I was impressed by the amount of self-awareness and insight you had about populations you would and would not be inclined to work with. It's so important to know yourself and to recognize, for example, when you are too close to a particular life challenge, to work effectively with others experiencing that challenge. And you mentioned death and dying, children experiencing trauma as examples of that. If you think about the populations that you would not be inclined to work with, it's likely that one thing that is common among all those populations is, or with regard to all of those populations, is that you haven't had experience related to people in those social identity groups, and it's generally true that in the absence of relationship and direct lived experience, we tend to fill in the gaps with our imagination. And what that means is that popular stigmas and myths and misconceptions are sometimes all that you know with regard to those groups. And so it makes sense if you think about it. You may well find that once you do have experience with certain social identity groups, then you are actually much less intimidated and much more inclined to work with people in those groups. I was amazed by the wide range of interests that you have just in this small group, and it reflects the diversity, of course, in the field of social work, but it also is an indication of how very rich your collegial group is in bringing different perspectives to your conversations, and so you're very fortunate to have such a diverse array of perspectives in your cohort here. When I made a list of all the different areas that you mentioned in which you would like to work, it was quite impressive. Here they are. I may not have identified all of them. Working in mental health, family therapy, schools, special ed, the BA, military and geriatric, medical social work, hospice, advocacy with regard to sexualized violence, forensic social work, sexual health and education, child welfare, transition-aged youth, domestic violence, management, international social work, EOPS, early childhood, addictions, community organizing, gerontology, foster care, adolescence, crisis intervention, trauma victims, street outreach, harm reduction, case management. This makes you a very, very wealthy cohort. And peer support and supervision is going to be one of your most important assets as a professional. And this wide array of interests is one of many reasons that I suggest that you stick together, stay connected, and facilitate one another's professional development. It's quite clear from your discussion that your current volunteer experiences are helping you understand what you are and are not interested in pursuing. And one of the beauties of social work is that there are so many options. And unlike many other fields, it is quite typical for a particular person to work in a wide variety of different capacities over the course of their career. And so this is a profession that gives you that opportunity to have a broad range of experiences. I want to mention that with regard to your internships, it is just fine to take an internship that is not necessarily the one that you think you would be most interested in. It is great to try on different social work roles. And as some of you mentioned, sometimes you will surprise yourself. One of the things that is very important for you now and throughout your career is finding high quality supervision. The quality of your supervision is even more important in some ways than the particular social work role that you are occupying. As you're looking for internships and as you're deciding upon professional engagements, be very careful to attend to choosing a place where you can get good supervision with someone with whom you connect and someone whose expertise you respect. That's critically important for your development as a professional. And as always, self-awareness and self-care are paramount in now and looking forward in your career. This was yet another very rich conversation, and I hope that you all will stay connected and continue in conversation for a long time into the future.